last piece of this that just really irritated the hell out of me is like, you know, after their just manifest failures in terms of the White House's response to Roe that were so bad that even Republicans were like, this is it? This is all you've got? Like, why aren't you trying to divide our caucus? Why aren't you like actually being forceful in any of this? Why is it taking you weeks to respond? So after their manifest failures, who do they blame? Oh, the activists. They make sure to punch left even on the day when they're issuing this executive order. This is from Kate Bedingfield, who actually is stepping down as White House comms director. But and it's from that article, that Washington Post article that we put up earlier. Their response to questions over the slow response was, Joe Biden's goal in responding to Dobbs is not to satisfy some activists who've been consistently out of step with the mainstream of the Democratic Party. Okay, listen. It's some 2/3 of Americans who are opposed to the overturning of Roe. The Republican position on this is extremely out of mainstream step with the general public, let alone within the Democratic Party. They need their voters, their base voters, to be excited and show up in the fall to make sure that they can keep control of the Senate. And I think the House is, you know, that's a done deal. I think it's already gonzo. But maybe you could keep control of the Senate, and you're certainly going to need these people to show up again in 2024. And your response is just to like tell them they suck and tell them to shut up and go home when they're all, you know, energized and trying to push the White House to do something, anything to respond to this. Classic behavior. And you can't look at the numbers for Joe Biden where, what is it, 64% of the Democratic Party itself is like, we need a different nominee, and say that this man is behaving in a way that is consistent with the, quote, mainstream of the Democratic Party.
Well, what I thought was really odd about this is that these are not activists that are really out. I mean, again, I do think that some of the activists, you know, the groups that are refused to compromise in any turn, sure, they're definitely a hindrance to any sort of action. But considering that your main goal is getting elected based on response to Roe versus Wade because the economy is so terrible and you basically have nothing else that you can run on, I don't really see why that you would be punching towards this direction. This is like punching towards the most activated part of your coalition while asking them also to come out and vote
harder.
So you need to reconcile yourself with,
do you ever see Republicans shitting on their own base like this?
Never,
no,
of course
because they understand the basics of politics. These are your people who work for campaigns. These are people who donate to campaigns. These are people who show up and vote. And you're telling them, like, we hate you, you suck. What is going to make them want to turn out and vote for you and support you?
I think that they're deeply defensive, if I had to guess, which is that the White House, you know, whenever these people, they get together, they really do believe in their heads that they're doing the best job that they possibly can. They don't understand the media coverage. By and large, every time you'll meet somebody who's in power, right or left, they all say some version of the same thing, which is, I don't understand why people don't understand what we're doing. Like, the media is being so unfair to us. And like, this is what you don't understand, X, Y, and Z. So they're like, hey, you know, in the past, we've punched at the activists on defund the police, which was unpopular, but this is just not the same. I mean, it's also not the same activist pool. It's not the same donor group. It's also, again, just a lack of inability, or it's an inability to meet a moment where you could actually energize a lot of these folks into getting involved into the political system, which is what you would want. And, you know, as much as I've trashed Planned Parenthood and all those groups, these are very powerful organizations who are on the Democratic Party organizationally. They have a huge amount of cultural power for young women in particular. So I don't know why I just don't really get the entire strategy behind this, because if you were going to do nothing and pursue like here's a fight that may be worth picking, which is saying, okay, the country's not, we're not going to get Roe versus Wade codified in the Senate. Let's go for 12 or 15 weeks.
Yep.
That would be crazy. I mean, that really would put the activists would freak out because they're like, this isn't enough. But that's a 75% position.
Yeah.
But you're not fighting for that. You're not doing anything.
Right.
So then it's like, well, what is the point of being with you at all? If you're going to pursue some sort of centrist, like, middle ground road, fine. I mean, I actually think it'd be very healthy for the country if they tried to pursue something like that and really alienate the most pro-life and the most pro-choice activists and just say, fine, we're going to go with the most median position of what most people are fine with. But the whole strategy, everything is scrambled by their just complete failure to do anything.
Yeah.
And it actually creates bad incentives on every direction because it opens up all sorts of crazy possibilities on the pro-life right. And if, you know, the left becomes just rudderless and unmoored and can go in very unhelpful directions, which would probably even help the pro-life right in the long run.
In terms of who are the activists right now, I mean, there have been nationwide protests on this issue.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of regular mainstream mainstream Democratic voters who are extremely exercised over this right now and are marching and demanding the White House do more. So, you know, their definition of what is mainstream in the Democratic Party, if they think that their sort of lackluster, delayed, flat-footed, emotionless, bloodless response here is in step with the mainstream of the Democratic Party. They're just not correct on that whatsoever. And you know, there's always a lot of talk about Joe Biden's strength with African American voters and how they put him in the White House. That's the most pro-choice group of voters if you look by the numbers. So in terms of like your bedrock key core supporters and where they want you to be, you're not in step with them either. So I think, again, is this the number one issue for a large chunk of Democratic-based voters? No. Does it contribute to an overall picture of them being flailing, rudderless, the great word you just used, just unable? So they're not only just reacting to events, but they're reacting extremely slowly, like in an incomprehensibly slow way to events as they unfold. Yes, I think that's why this issue is really damaging for them and has very much opened up the eyes of some normie, vote blue no matter who, liberals who have never really been willing to directly criticize Democratic Party leadership. And they're looking at this and going, oh, you all were full of it. All the things that you said you were fighting for, you're not fighting for those things.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.